Uranus is new.
She is a biomythological concept artist. Her work can be experienced as a happening, a word search, coloring sheet, or installation. She is highly influenced by the Black arts movement, womanist theory, and surrealism. So greetings, Itsanapa. Say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
I got a couple of questions for you. One of my questions is, how would you describe your process?
I start with writing. I write whether it rhymes, I write as a journal, I write as a documentation, and then from there I create whatever is going to be the imagery or the experience. Some of the things that help me, and I don't want to say this without getting too deep into the biomythology and what all that means, but everything has already happened. So we could easily say that there's nothing that we experience that hasn't been experienced before. Easily, we can take from those lessons and stories and apply them to ourselves and keep it moving, or we can sit there and try to translate that experience to another person. Usually, another person is not going to receive that if they're not in the same state.
No, they're
and
not.
What two people are in the same state? Once we find that we are in a place of artistic integrity, then we can move on to say, how can I push my own life voice further into the ethers? And then, once you can do that, once your life voice or once your life story is pushed further, you are no longer chasing the money, and the money is attracted to you. Whatever
Right.
you need to survive is within you. You do not have to go out and find the art. You do not have to go out and find the message or collaborate and network for your concept. Your concept should be a part of your core values, and then from there work out.
What are your core values?
My core values is liberating of self first and then others, as much as I'm supporting the liberation of others. Other core values that I have is taking care of the people that are before me and to honor the ancestor behind me. And when I say that in my own artwork, I mean very literally. So then for instance, my grandmother is buried in Washington Park Cemetery. Folks who are in St. Louis and who are abreast to that situation know how difficult it is to even find a random grave in Washington Park Cemetery, let alone that of someone, of a loved one. And I'm going through that search to find her gravesite, not to bring up the dead or bring the dead living, but to find myself, because I know that I am intrinsically connected to the energy that my grandmother put forth, because she had my mother out of love and my mother had me out of love, that I need to make sure that I'm intact at all times. And to know thyself means that you can do anything. So I've been for the past year working on a statement of expression, which is different than an artist statement. A statement of expression is a way for me to categorize all of the different aspects of my creative self in a way that is translatable to other people, right? Because we have all these things going inside of our solar plexus. We have love, we have the creative voice, we have all these things that we want to project, but sometimes we don't know the best ways to project them. So with my visual art, I started breaking things down into what is truly personal for me. Some of the things that were truly personal for me that I was doing the work on was the political aspects of myself, of course, because that's something that we live with daily and that people project onto us. The spiritual aspects of myself, which is something that I see as non-touchable. Once you know your spirit self and you know who you are, that should be untouchable. And then also the visual art and how that all plays a part in how I'm expressing myself. So like I said earlier, a lot of times the writings, and I scribe the works of the people before me so that I can have a better understanding, and also so that it's in my subconscious. And when I say I scribe, I might scribe things like Khalil Gibran, I might scribe things like Césaire, I might scribe the Bible, I might scribe the Quran. But to scribe is a state of meditation. Also, like I said, I'm journaling at the same time. And then the mythology. The mythology part for me is mostly looking at the gods and goddesses, taking those creation myths, taking those lesson myths, and seeing how they have aligned in my real life. Because as we know, if we're on our life path, everything is aligned, and then creating from that way.
There's a lot of misconception about artists because, for example, if someone's listening to me or watching or listening to the music, they think that I'm just up there playing songs. But what they don't realize is that I am a dramatist, right. I am a surrealist, there's a lot of irony, I am a comedian, and so there's all this stuff that's coming together to give you something that you think is one-dimensional. Yes. But then try to do it and see what happens.
Right. And if you approach the art only as one dimension, that's surface level living, and you're doing nothing but creating a gap ad. A lot of times you can know yourself and you can have the artistic integrity in place and your core values you're projecting, but you have to let go of the expectation that everyone is going to understand.
And like it.
To live a life with no expectations, I expect for the morning to come. I expect for the rest of the world to keep moving, to keep walking, to keep watching TV, to keep listening to everything but me, just the TV. I expect for people not to understand. Why would you understand? That's dumb.
Most of my work is a trompe l'oeil, which means trick of the eye, or it's a surrealist, but astrologically and numerologically aligned occurrence. Andre Breton says that the whole life we're on this quest of knowledge for things that we've already known and we were born with. And I'm a true believer of that. So as we go out into the world, we're really just regaining what we already know. Under Andre Breton, I created a funny poem that's not that funny called A Portrait in the Past 6 Months. Amidst solemn glasses, warm sharings, and precarious weather, we wait together to witness the unfolding, mere spectators to the pointed will of yesterday. We do know the next stanza. We have seen the algae dance away the cold. She never tires from our questioning. Sounds of smoke orange mumbles, the cadence of the feline leper stilled. Will there be a new song? No. We will learn each word, each consonant skipping off the cliff into the glow of 5:13 p.m. I secretly wish each one is closer to death. Rubber tires were filled with cement. Assist me as I excuse myself. Veronica sounds, amber B-flat gospel hymns wrapped in a punk bar, searching for Cuba. Bianca dance, shaking and gyrating love moves to her shadow. Elysian fields packed and moved to the valley, where the morning dew stilled the rabbits and requested for a new napkin. Deforested tap dances fill my heart with your spine. Scalped intention darted at the plexus of my skin misses. Instead, it hits me in the middle of my back, puncturing my third creation. And with all this, I can no longer sacrifice myself to the bees. Weathered intent has closed my cage, it has rusted into a burgundy copper scab by blackberries. Although the sweetness has dripped on me, I merely escaped. So surrealism is a movement in art that happened, I believe, in the 1920s, started by Andre Breton, who has 3 surrealist manifestos that everyone should read, so I don't have to explain that part. And the basic concept of surrealism is to take the real and push further. We know the physical realm already. Let go of it. Let go of it and find your true self. So it's interesting to me with the surrealism because they were creating all these beautiful images. Think of Salvador Dali and how dream state the work was. How much the work was in a dream state, or so we think. And then I look at the work of Aimé Césaire, who's also considered a surrealist, but his surrealist imagery was actually what he was living. He wasn't coming out of his imagination with those sounds and words that he created, and how that really transforms. So surrealism is going, I would say, stepping outside of the real and going strictly into the dream state and trying to do that in a way that's authentic to self. With that, we know that dreams are not linear. African time is circular. That's a truth that we know in many ways. If we think about Sankofa, it's true. If we think about even how we set ourselves up for the next generation, we know that's true. And I will use a experience to create the mood of a bigger concept.
Thanks so much for listening. This episode of Uranus is Blue is brought to you by books. They have information.